Hi everyone, I'm Steve Melan from Luxembourg. I'm very happy that you made it now to my recording because you probably missed my session 2 weeks ago in New York when I was speaking about the flexible API management solution in the banking industry. So before we start, something about me. I'm a manager of IT innovation and architecture at Spurkis, which is actually the formerly name of the State and Savings Bank of Luxembourg. I'm a Microsoft MVP since 2013, public speaker at several events, passionate about IBM legacy integration. Well, this is very obvious because I'm working in a bank and banks are very known for using IBM products. I'm excited about, of course, Azure and Microsoft Cloud, and I'm thrilled about the age of AI. So to bring everything together, not just APIs, but also AI in the new IT world. Something about the bank I'm working with. It's a government-owned bank. It's a tradition and banking innovation since 1856. We are the largest banking network of agencies and self-banking spaces in Luxembourg. We have a long-term deposit rating by Moody's of AA2, rating by Standard & Poor's of AA+, and we are one of the safest banks in the world since 2011 by the Global Finance magazine. So open banking first is very important because it's opening the banks towards the world, and it makes also a kind of trust relationship between the customers and the bank. And so security is one of the key aspects. First, API security. The API security is one of the most important parts. So first, how do I can ensure that I'm using the best security, the best authentication, and the best authorization protocols? Because if the security doesn't work, no customer will trust you. Then afterwards, data privacy. As European, we are very happy with our GDPR. GDPR allows customers and the companies to be transparent in what happened with the data. Very important also of building an open banking infrastructure is the fraud prevention, because you never know what will happen with a device, if a device gets compromised, stolen, or what could happen. So it's very important also to protect those assets. Additionally, there is the regulator compliancy. Regulators will ask you to do something. We had the PSD2, and now we are coming with the PSD3. In the UK, there was the Open Banking Initiative. And now we hope for the banks also in the US to open themselves as well. And very important is to understand all the risks a bank is taking. You have to have a very important risk appetite framework in order to ensure that all the risk could be mitigated. Our journey from a traditional bank towards an API infrastructure already started in 2005. We had a lot of IBM mainframe stuff, COBOL, different kind of technologies, and we unified everything towards SOAP web service, and we redeveloped all our applications in .NET. So for us, the journey towards an open banking infrastructure was not that complicated because we had already these web services in place, and we just have to figure out what could be a potential solution to expose those services as REST service. As our main components are still relying on COBOL, so mainframe, so probably if you're traveling by Boeing, you also know that the Boeing mostly using COBOL still today. And what we did is we exposed those services from the mainframe, those COBOL, towards the Microsoft Host Integration Server as an API or as a web service. We had at that time more than 10 million API calls a day. And now was the problem to find a perfect match solution as an API gateway to expose those web services that we have been using for years internally towards the outside world. And to find the perfect match, we have to be compliant with our local policies, but also with the European policies. For us, we had a choice, and that was Nivatec Sentinet. We choose that product because it was the one completely built on the Microsoft platform. It is available on premise, in cloud, and hybrid scenarios. It can extend the Microsoft API server capabilities with governance and automated management for RESTful APIs and SOAP services. It's perfectly integrated with Microsoft, but of course also with non-Microsoft technologies. It has a unique interface, very rich capabilities, and ease of use. And and this was the very most important part, it's extensibly by the .NET code. So to choose the right API gateway, it helps you also to be faster time to market. It helps you to really control and what is visible for all our users. So the API gateway allows not just to expose an API, but also to probably monetize an API. So if, for example, the PSD2 just told us to expose APIs to access to an account and to initiate payments, but if, for example, you want to be faster and you want to have more possibilities available for your bank and becoming more a kind of API bank, in that case, it's very important to also start using and creating APIs that you can monetize. So offer other possibilities more than the PSD2 or Open Banking Initiative is telling you to do. When I was traveling to New York, I found this very interesting quote of Jorge Chopra, who is the CFPB director. The CFPB is a kind of consumer protection service or like a protection bureau, and they had a right quote for it. With the right consumer protection in place, a shift towards an open and decentralized banking can supercharge competition, improve financial products and services, and discourage junk fees. I think this was a perfect start to an open banking framework in the US. But what is an advantage of open banking? Why should banks in the US, which are still old-fashioned with swiping cards, using cash and ATMs and everything, why should they open themselves to the rest of the world? Well, first, if they don't do, I think other European banks or other banks for the world will come to the US and they have the framework in place, and customers probably will choose the bank that offers most of the services and most of the fintechs. Because I think the key is not that the bank is reinventing everything, it's mostly to offer their services as APIs and to work together with fintechs. This is the really most important part in the world. So one of the advantages is really the market competition and innovation. So the bank should open themselves so that customers can really choose to which part they should want to go, to that bank or that bank, because they can offer so much more services and other technologies that could be interesting for customers. It's a kind of diversification of product offerings. So working with fintechs makes it more interesting for those customers. One, for me, of the most important part here is the financial inclusion. The open banking provides access to financial services for underserved populations. So today, banks mostly think about their customers, but probably there are so many other customers outside. They have no idea that they exist, and probably some of the fintechs, they really know that area. And by leveraging data sharing, banks can reach previously excluded customers and offer tailored solutions for them. This is a very important part here. But one of the most challenging parts for the banks will be the data privacy concerns, because customers will always fear that their data will not be secured. And this is a crucial part. So it must be a kind of balance between convenience and the data protection. So the bank should think about how they can ensure the trust between the bank and the customer. Cybersecurity risks are nowadays very important. So also when exposing APIs, it's highly important to offer also and to ensure robust, secure measurements. Standardized APIs, and this is a key part in open banking infrastructure. Banks should work together to establish a kind of standardized APIs, as we did in Europe. We have, for example, one standard is called STATS and one is called Berlin Group. The US should do the same, create standardized APIs for the banking industry. Working together makes it easier and makes it more afterwards usable for other banks and other fintechs to reuse those APIs. We have something new, which is called now PSD3 in Europe. So mostly banks, when PSD2 started, did not just the PSD2, but they already went further. And so now finally also this regulation went further. It now includes also other accounts like current accounts, like just payment initiations. It also includes now accounts for example, stock exchange, a lot of different kind of topics like saving accounts and so on. And also it provides a better standardized APIs to enhance open banking services by improving those APIs and making it easier for consumer to securely share their data. Because the only thing that matters with an open banking is the data the consumer wants to share. And that's why it's so important that a customer gives a consent to share just the data he wants to share. And the banks, from a transparency point of view, always gives the possibility to the consumer to see what information has been shared to which entities. Also, the new PSD2, which is important, was the streamlined authentication. The new directive aims to reduce frictions during checkout by streamlining authentication processes. What we did, for example, in Luxembourg was quite interesting. We have a company which is a government or partially government-owned company, which is called LuxTrust. LuxTrust is an authentication provider, like you have probably in Facebook, Microsoft Authenticator, and so on. This is one authentication mechanism available for all services in whole Luxembourg. If you're going from one bank to another, from a government service, it's always the same streamlined authentication. Now, it also is in the PSD2 regulation so that all other banks through Europe has to adopt a kind of streamlined authentication. The direct access to the payment systems for fintech is also quite new. PSD2 now proposes granting fintech companies direct access to payment systems, fostering innovation in the industry. So they can now directly access the payment systems without going through different mechanisms. I hope you really enjoyed my session. There is no possibility to have questions now, but for those who have been in my session, it was very cool to have you there. I hope to see you also on other events from API Days. So enjoy your day, enjoy your evening, and we hope for a better future. Thank you so much for attending my session online, and see you next time.